In stage 4, deep sleep is whenever your growth hormone is secreted primarily. And so it's when your body actually physically repairs. Whenever you're getting REM sleep, that's more about like memory consolidation. So when you're not getting enough of either, then your body just doesn't have time to reconfigure itself.
Been looking at those reels, and they're designed to suck you in and keep you there. That blue light is mucking up, as Sara mentioned before, that your circadian rhythms are getting mucked up. 3 hours, no food and alcohol. 2 hours, no hydration. 1 hour, no screen time, no matter, what form that is, whether it's phone, iPad, Kindle, whatever it is.
A lot of people need TVs to fall asleep, and that's one of the worst brainwaves you can put yourself in, because especially all that static energy in TVs, you're not going to fall into deep sleep. Your brain's going to be slightly disrupted all night long. So get rid of computers, no work in the room. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Health Accelerator Challenge tonight. And we're going to have a fun time. We're going to be talking about sleep. And hopefully we don't put you to sleep. Actually, we won't, because it's not just me. We've got the lovely Andie Bryce, one of our phenomenal health advisors here at East West. And then we've got one of our premier functional medicine practitioners and licensed acupuncturist, Sara Supinski. So welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Excited to be here.
Yeah. So let's go back, and I want to ask you, Sara, when is the time of your life where you had the best sleep? When you just remember your head would hit the pillow, you'd sleep deep?
Well, to be honest, I sleep great now.
So would now be like the time of your life where you slept probably just as good as any other time?
Say now, yeah, like sleep has always been a massive priority for me. Like even whenever I was a little kid, I would just kind of disappear and my parents wouldn't know where I was and I'd be in my bed sleeping. And so I've always just kind of crushed sleep. I mean, outside of like, young children years, of course, but like sleep to me is so important. And so it's something that I prioritize above most other things. So I sleep great. I kick sleep's butt.
That's amazing. Well, great. How about you, Andie? When in your life have you slept most amazing, or are you like Sara, where you just have always slept great?
No, Sara and I don't have this in common at all. And you're the envy of so many of our patients, right, Sara? Because sleep is such a common area where people struggle. I remember having great sleep as a young kid. And since I've lived here in the US for 8.5 years, my sleep has been really crappy. And I have health coached the shit out of myself, and I haven't, and only recently have I fixed it. And it has been listening to, and I shared this with you recently, Regan, is listening to theta brainwaves when I'm sleeping. I just have it going on Spotify quietly. And it's been a game changer for me.
Man, the theta brainwaves are powerful. So, and you guys, everyone has access. I mean, you can get all, like I used to have to buy devices to get the binaural beats and the theta waves and gamma waves and all those things. Now you just get it. I use Apple Music, but you can just get it anywhere. Spotify,
Yeah.
YouTube. It's amazing. And so I want to hear from you guys in attendance today. And thanks everyone for being here. Really appreciate you. How many of you, if you had to grade yourself on a score of 1 to 10, 10 being you sleep like Sara, you crawl into bed, you fall asleep, you sleep great. How many of you would give yourself a 10 and then go down from there? I seem to wake up, if I'm working on big projects, I wake up too early. Anna's a 2. So we got to get that harmonized big time. So that's a priority. Awesome. Tara's a 9. 9's great. That's phenomenal.
It's awesome.
Yeah. And so the big important thing about sleep, well, first of all, can you go longer without food or without sleep? What can the human body tolerate more of?
Longer without food.
That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's crazy. People can literally have gone 60 days as long as you stay hydrated. You can go 60 days. There's even this dude in Scotland who went almost a full year without eating and he lost like 120 pounds. I don't recommend this. So if you're listening to this, this is not medical advice. It's just an anecdote, but the longest someone's ever went without sleep is this Chinese guy who was chain smoking cigarettes and doing all these stimulants to watch the entire World Cup. That was the bet that he had. And after 3 weeks, he had a full blown grand mal seizure that killed him. So your brain and your body needs sleep. And as many of us, we say, I'll sleep when I'm dead. That's just like the worst thing you can do for your health. And so, Sara, what would you say some of the main reasons why we need sleep?
Well, because it's when your body takes time to repair itself. So especially in stage 4, deep sleep is whenever your growth hormone is secreted primarily. And so it's when your body actually physically repairs. And so without adequate amounts, also whenever you're getting REM sleep, that's more about like memory consolidation. So when you're not getting enough of either, then your body just doesn't have time to reconfigure itself.
Man, and memory consolidation is kind of like sleep is what allows our brain to like take in all the stimulus from the day, sort out the stuff that we don't need to remember, and then put in the things that we do need to remember for long-term survival, essentially. And anything that you found as far as having great REM sleep or inducing better deep sleep?
Oh my gosh, so much. Well, I track my sleep with a Whoop, and I really love my Whoop because it helps provide me with like a lot of useful insights. So typically, I recommend people if they're really struggling with sleep to wear a Whoop or an Aura Ring because both are really great sleep tracking devices. So you can kind of get a general idea about where you stand currently. I think it's really important to track. But some of the biggest things that have impacted me, I mean, consistency is like absolutely key. Like, I feel like consistency with our health habits is just key no matter what you're doing. But with sleep specifically, like sticking to a set sleep time and a set wake time every day is really, really helpful in just setting that circadian rhythm of the body so that your body knows what to expect and so that you can sleep more restfully through the night. I also think like some of the other more impactful things outside of obviously like supplements and peptides are no alcohol and no food 3 hours before bed. That's been like huge for
Mm.
me. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. So let's talk about that because Andie, the first place I heard about the 3-2-1 method for sleep hygiene was from you. And
hmm
so what is that?
Well, Sarah just touched on the first step, the 3 hours before sleep, no food and no alcohol. Um, 2 hours before sleep, no hydration to, minimize the risk of that interrupting your sleep. And 1 hour before sleep. And this is the one that a lot of people struggle with in, 2024 is no screen time. So no picking your phone up. Like people get into bed and, they pick their phone up and next minute you're on Instagram or something, looking at those reels, and they're designed to suck you in and keep you there.
Mm.
And this is just completely that blue light is mucking up, as Sara mentioned before, that your circadian rhythms are getting mucked up. So, 3 hours, no food and alcohol, 2 hours, no hydration, 1 hour, no screen time, no matter, what form that is, whether it's phone, iPad, Kindle, whatever it is. Put that down.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
And good
important.
sleep hygiene. So, in saying put that down, it's about finding something to swap it out for that is a healthy habit to be calming and relaxing. Pick up a book, spend time with your partner, journal. There's so many things you can be doing that aren't actually, being counterproductive.
Man, I love that. And so let's talk about the worst things you can do for sleep because inversion is always kind of fun when you just flip the thing and you say, okay, how can you have really poor sleep? And how many of you, and we have a couple questions. Awesome. Paul is now at a 5. He's improving. Good, Paul. We want you sleeping well. We don't like grumpy people. And poor sleep makes Regan grumpy, and I'm sure all of us. So Anna says, I've got an Aura Ring. Are the sleep meditation modules on there similar to the the delta brain waves that you're talking about. I'm not familiar with the modules on there. I was an early adopter of the Aura Ring and got too fixated on the numbers, and so I gave it to a friend. But do you happen to know that, Sara, Andie?
No,
I
I
don't know
don't know.
that. Yeah.
Okay. Not sure, Anna. But it maybe Andie or Sarah, can one of you look it up in the background and see if it's actually relates to the brainwaves, like theta brainwaves? I think it's probably a simple Google search. But let's invert this problem, because sleep, one of the most important things about it, and there's research like, what position do you want your body to sleep in? Because if you sleep on your back, in Chinese medicine, it's great because it's like you're opening up your heart to the heavens, and you're receptive to receiving great communication. I like asking myself a question before I go to sleep so that my brain has something to work on. Like, what are some ways that I can improve in my communication? And that may be something, or how can I be a better spouse? Or if I'm doing this really, I think it's fun, but the 100 mental models. So I'm learning about like physics and chemistry and just going back through some of the foundational hard sciences that I learned a long time ago. And I'm like, oh, this is really fun. So I'll put it like some of the Newtonian laws of physics in my brain and think about those, or some of the quantum mechanics principles. And so those are great things. And then if you sleep on your side, that seems to open up the airways more. And specifically on the left side, there is research where they found that the glymphatic circulation in the brain is activated when you're sleeping. And the glymphatic circulation, if you can keep it clean, that will keep your brain from building up some of the plaques that can trigger Alzheimer's or dementia. And so sleeping on your left side seems to be the most favorable side for your brain to properly detox. And so this means when I was training myself to sleep on my side, I find I do better if I have a pillow between my knees, because it kind of puts my body in position. And then it kind of feels weird when the knees are kind of bone on bone. It just gets uncomfortable. And if I spread my knees out, my back would be sore. So grab a pillow between your legs and try to sleep on your side. If you can sleep on your left side, great. Right side, that's fine too. But some of the worst things you can do for sleep is sleep in a position that doesn't allow you to breathe. And so, Sara, maybe you could talk about sleep apnea and the dangers of that condition.
Oh my gosh. Well, sleep apnea is just terrible for your health. There's a book that I really love. It's called Breath by James Nestor. It's a book that I commonly recommend to patients, but it's all about the importance of breathing and making sure that you're nose breathing during sleep. I mean, if you aren't breathing through your nose during sleep, all sorts of inflammatory conditions can arise. I mean, it just completely can wreck your health. They say it's really important for kids too. So it's important to start at an early age. And like if you're walking in your kid's room and their mouth is open, to like gently close their mouth so that they can just learn to breathe through their nose. So it's something that I actually do with my own kids. But obesity is strongly correlated. Diabetes, I mean, all sorts of long-term negative health implications with sleep apnea specifically.
Wow. And what do you think about mouth taping?
Oh, I think mouth tape's phenomenal. Absolutely. So, and I've toyed around with it myself just to see how it goes. It can be challenging at first, just in getting used to having tape over your mouth. But I think anything that you can do to gradually improve your breathing through the night is really important.
Yeah, there can be trouble with adopting the mouth tape, like Sara
Yeah, it's
touched on.
tricky. It's
Yeah,
tricky.
and it's also a great solution for snoring too, mouth tape. But yeah, if people can push through that initial time, of just getting used to it, it can be a great, cheap, easy solution.
You just have to be patient with it, I think, So as long as you're patient with it and you gradually build up, because whenever I first tried it, I was like ripping it off halfway through the night.
Oh, yeah.
And that's okay. It's baby steps, right? Incremental steps to the outcome. Yeah.
Yes. Irene's asking, mouth tape can be purchased where? Well, you could just use Scotch tape, but I like the Korean mouth tape the best. You can just get it on Amazon. It's like $10 for like 100 strips or something. It's a very, very worthwhile investment. and very important. So watch your body positioning. I think that's one of the worst things that happens when people sleep is they're not aware of what's happening in the night, because if you're stopping breathing or if you're snoring, you're not falling into that deep restful state. I had a patient of ours who we were treating for neuropathy, and he was making such great improvements, but he had central sleep apnea. And what that means is his nervous system literally would shut down. So if he didn't wear a CPAP, it was deadly. And one night he went to sleep because he was actually now able to sleep because the neuropathy would keep him up. He had restless leg syndrome. And he fell asleep and forgot to use the sleep apnea machine, and unfortunately passed away. And it was tragic. I mean, his wife was devastated. We were all devastated. And it's that serious. So watch the direction that you sleep. And one of the things we'll notice is your CO2 levels in your labs may be very low. That's one of the common signs that we'll see. We'll also look at your anion gap, so we can see the distance between your electrolytes, and your blood will get really acidic if you've got sleep apnea, and that will impact your digestive system. You'll be more inflamed, which leads to higher levels of cholesterol, buildup in the arteries, oxidative stress, and poor brain function. Otherwise, it's not a big deal. I wouldn't even worry about it. So, so
Not a concern.
not a concern. I mean, all those things are just minor. I mean, you just died 20 years earlier, but yeah. So sleep apnea. So positioning. How about room temperature? Andie, can you tell us kind of what some of the research shows about like how warm or cold you should keep your room?
You should have your room a little cooler. And certainly as a postmenopausal woman, please, Mike, don't turn the heat up in the middle of the night. It drives me crazy. But yeah, you need to be having your room a little cooler. Something also, in talking about the temperature of the room, that relates to that somewhat and to help you sleep, also weighted blankets are really good to help you sleep, which is something that, is somewhat surprising. Weighted blankets are used a lot, with autistic children. They love to feel the weight. And it's similar to like pets, when there's fireworks and you put on those coats. What are they called? Thunder coat or something, those compressive coats on pets.
Yep.
It's the same theory. So that's something. Sorry, I went off on a tangent, but that is something also that can really help you sleep.
No, I think that is amazing. I have a weighted blanket, and it's really grounding. It feels amazing.
Yeah. And also you can get the grounding fitted sheets.
Yes.
The grounding mats for your bed. There's so many things you can do for sleep that, and please reach out. I'm happy to email lists to anyone that wants some suggestions around that, of easy things to add in that regard. But, there are so many things you can also do around good sleep hygiene. And Sara touched on it earlier. Good sleep loves good routine.
Yes. I think that's critical. So, yeah, these are really important things. And we have a couple questions that came in. The 9 is for Neela. Okay, I'm Tara, down to a 6. Sorry, Tara, darn it. But we'll get you back up. It will be 8 to 9 soon. Which peptide helps you sleep better? Sara, what are your favorite peptides for sleep?
I mean, personally, my favorite is epitalin. Epitalin, because it helps regulate that hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, helps regulate your stress response, really helps create more homeostasis within the body. Whenever I take epitalin, I sleep my deep sleep specifically enhances pretty dramatically. I get on average 20 more minutes deep sleep per night whenever I'm using it. Wow. And I think second to that would be the secretagogue just family. So tesamorelin, ipamorelin, or ceramorelin, because they do help to pulse that release of growth hormone. And so also just really help you crush sleep.
I love that. So yeah, those are some deep sleep inducing peptide. Have you noticed kind of similar impacts as epitalin?
So specifically, I haven't used it, but I've seen lots of patients use it, obviously. And so patients love deep sleep inducing peptide. Because it does really enhance those delta waves of sleep. And so they get great results with it.
Yeah, that was a peptide discovered in, I think it was 1957, a researcher working on rabbits, their circadian rhythms, and he found that molecule in the brain, and he's like, oh, let's try this. And I love it. It actually, when I travel, because I travel through multiple time zones, and I've always got some DSIP, and it just resets my circadian rhythm so fast. Amazing peptides. And
I need some next time I go to Australia.
you absolutely do.
Well,
Yes.
it's actually when I come back that it's bad. When I go there, it's fine because you fly through the night. Coming back, you fly through the day, and you arrive on the same day, and it does my head in every time. But yeah, it's when I get back that the jet lag is bad. On the way there, it's not.
Yes. And so Andie, make sure, because when I went to London over the holidays, it was like the easiest transition I've ever had coming back. It was like I didn't even leave.
Nice.
Because with cortisol, just so you guys know, your cortisol for every time zone you leave, it takes 5 days to get your circadian rhythms back on track. So I know a lot of you travel, and so it's really important. So DSIP, epitalin, those are some great things that you can do. And we'll go back to the questions. Does Wi-Fi being on affect us? That's a great question, Anna. Sara, Andie, any research you've done on Wi-Fi? Andie, you mentioned the grounding mats and grounding your bed.
I don't personally have any research data on it, but certainly people, anecdotally at best, some people tend to be more sensitive to it than others.
Yes. Yeah, big time.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And I'm very sensitive to it. Like I can tell when my wife hasn't put her phone on airplane mode. So I'm like a princess in the pea. And I'm the guy that like has blackout everything. And I'm like, if I'm in the hotel room, I'll like call him. I'm like, I need some tape to tape over this light. And so I'm very sensitive to it, and it makes a big difference. So Anna, you can actually go to your modem and turn off your Wi-Fi at night. And that's the best way you can do it. The second best is just making sure you have your phone on airplane mode. That's a great way of mitigating it. And then make sure you don't have any electronics in your room. So if you have a TV, a lot of people need TVs to fall asleep. And that's one of the worst brain waves you can put yourself in, because especially all that static energy in TVs, you're not going to fall into deep sleep. Your brain's going to be slightly disrupted all night long. So get rid of computers, no work in the room, get rid of any kind of TVs, and ideally get rid of all electronics, put your phone somewhere else. But we're all using our phones now to, kind of track our patterns. But let's talk about what the bedroom's for. So, Andie, the bedroom is obviously sleep, but what are the only appropriate activities for the bedroom?
The bedroom, I tell this to my clients all the time, the bedroom is for sleep and sex.
Awesome. And
nothing else. It's not for watching telly. It's not for gaming. It's not for, whatever else people tend to set their rooms up with electronics and what have you.
Yeah, you want it to be a sacred environment, and the more sleep and the more sex you can get, the better. Is that kind of your
heck yes. Like both sleep and sex are so important to us as human beings. They're important for connection with ourselves. Mm-hmm. They're important for connection with our partners. And sex is good for your cardiovascular system. It's good for hormone production. It's good for your mental health. And it actually makes you sleep better too.
Yes. Well, and I think, if you look at men, like we have, when a man orgasms, it's one of the best ways to fall asleep. Yeah. Females, though, orgasms can be somewhat stimulating. And so sometimes you can, be more activated. So I think this is where timing is really important for both partners.
Exactly. And we're all individuals. And I've had so many conversations about that very aspect of sex and timing. For me, I'm wide awake. I'm like, ping, and I'm like, ah, damn it. Yeah. So for me, everyone's learning a lot about Andie today. But for me, late night sex is something that I know is going to keep me awake. I'm going to be awake for like 40 minutes longer. So, know that about yourself. Learn that about yourself. I don't mean to say schedule your intimacy with your partner, but sometimes, have those open discussions, know how those things impact you, and find a happy medium.
I think that's brilliant. And I don't think there's anything, I mean, scheduling it, having some sexy time on the books is actually, you can plan for it, prepare for it. And especially if it's going to disrupt your sleep cycles, then it's actually imperative. So
yeah, it's a bit counterproductive from that perspective. But yeah, talk about, and that's around everything about being intimate. Talk about everything. Why don't we talk about this? Why don't we talk about what we like? Why don't we talk about what we want?
Yeah, and if you want to spice it up a bit, like PT-141, if you combine that with some oxytocin, a little bit of tadalafil, man, it just makes for a really magical time.
Right.
There's some great enhancements.
Hey,
awesome.
There's a peptide for everything, Regan.
I know there's 7,000 in the body and they're doing their little job. And sometimes we just want to amp up a certain pathway. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't need to lose it with age either.
No,
if you don't want to lose having that intimacy, you don't have to. We've got Tasha now doing a wonderful job with clients balancing their hormones out, and that can be really beneficial. So, if it's something that you feel you have lost connection with, talk to us. Yeah. These are conversations we have every day with people. Talk to us, and whether it's a hormonal issue that Tasha can help you with, or maybe a connection issue from maybe more of an emotional perspective. Maybe that's something as health advisors we can help you with. And certainly, Sara and Katie and, everyone's really open, and we really meet you where you are.
Yes, love it. Thank you. And we had another, Kathy said, the Uller bed cooling system has been put my Oura Ring score into the 90s. I think this is a really important thing to touch on. Is what are everyone's favorite tools? How many of you have some kind of cooling system for your bed? Because I've used the Uller, and Kathy, good to have you on. And now we have the Bed Jet. Sara, do you have any opinions on some of these crazy devices for the bed?
Oh man, well, because you want your bed to be nice and cool, and so the Uller is a game changer. Yeah, that thing shakes butt. Kathy, when I saw your comment, I was like doing a little dance inside. I didn't know that you had one, so
yeah, aren't they great?
Yeah,
and we looked into where, because my Uller, I've had it for a lot of years. They sent me one like 2016 or something, 2017, and then the engine broke and we are going to get an 8 sleep. And then I heard about the Bed Jet. And so it's actually pushes air into under the sheet. They have a special sheet for it. And so Jess has hers on her setting. I have my setting. Mine's cold. Hers is warm. And I actually really like that apparatus too. So a couple different options that you guys have. The nice thing about the 8 sleep is it kind of works like a Whoop or like an Oura Ring. But yeah, there's so many great things. So think about keeping your bed cool. And one of the things that happens at night is our body gets to the coldest stage right between 3 to 4 a.m. And that's a time where you can actually, when your body starts slowly waking up and getting ready for its wake cycle. But if you notice you wake up at between 3 and 4, you may be getting too cold. So you can actually set the timer so your bed heats up just a little bit so you don't get woken up by that. Couple things. Anna's got electrical tape on her air purifier. That helped. Beautiful. That's great. I thought you were going to say electrical tape on your mouth. And I was like, oh, that's commitment. I'm not removing it until I'm asleep. And then Kathy Melby, the light dims on Amazon are great for blocking light in the bedroom. Yeah, and it's phenomenal because you can actually change your light. If you can you can get some red lights, and so you can dim your lights. I have those little bricks. You can get these little blocks of far infrared and near infrared lights on Zen, and they're like $200, and you can just carry that around where you go, and you can use it to read a book, get some nice red light, it puts your body in a relaxed state. Really good for your blood circulation and your mitochondria. So many things. And Kathy said she likes the as is our mouth tape on Amazon. Beautiful. So thanks for that resource. So a lot that we can do for sleep. So just to highlight it, let's go back and Andie, what was your takeaway from the conversation today?
One that I tend not to highlight to clients, which Sara said, no food and alcohol, because I'm not much of a drinker. It's something I don't always include in that conversation. So, that's just an add-on there. And also, I'm going to be checking out the Ula
yes.
Ula Cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say that 10 times fast.
Awesome. Sara, what's your takeaways from today's hack?
I mean, I think it's a combination of the right things, right? Like having a cold, dark environment, keeping the right level of consistency, really just following that 3-2-1 rule. So avoiding the food, avoiding the water, avoiding the screen time. Sometimes it is a matter too of bringing in the right peptides or supplements as well.
Yeah, beautiful. And we didn't even have a chance to touch on on supplements, so we can do that at a later date. But yeah, my takeaway is the hygiene part of it. And I think the 3-2-1 method, and that's going to be everyone's challenge for the week, is it's easier to justify, eating a little later, but we're big into time restricted eating where you give your body at least 12 hours of a break between meals. And it's so funny because if you have great sleep hygiene, a great sleep hygiene makes for an amazing next day. And so life is about building great days upon great days. And so that the challenge for the week is 3 hours before you go to bed, stop eating, and no alcohol. Just get rid of alcohol for this week. That's another challenge. It's not going to really lead to great longevity because it disrupts your sleep. So, and 2 hours before you go to bed, stop drinking fluids so you're not waking up to urinate. And then an hour before you go to bed, grab a book, grab your partner, make love, do something that's more soulful, connected, meditate, listen to some of the theta waves. I like the 432 hertz. Those are really great vibrations for healing. You can put those on as well, but just get your body in a nice relaxed state and then give your brain a little challenge before you go to bed at night, like something creative to work on, and you'll be shocked when you wake up the next morning, just how like everything makes sense. So life gets pretty simple when you have good sleep. So Sara, Andie, it's been awesome. Really appreciate the great work you do. All the clients love you, as do I. So thanks for being on tonight. And thanks everybody for being part of our community.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, we'll see you guys next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.